Hey everybody, Old Buck Dave here one more time with you know who?
You know who? Old Buck Dell.
Old Buck Dale. Hey, good
Hey,
to hear your voice.
hey, it is, Dave, and should tell our listeners. I'm glad to catch up with you, by voice again. But we did manage to have a traditional Old Buck meeting downtown at the coffee shop.
We did. We were able to pull that off.
We were able to pull that off after a lot of coordinating. We managed to get there, and of course, any old downtown coffee rendezvous always has a story attached to it, doesn't it?
Always a story. Unfortunately, this one was not a good story.
It's not a good story. Let me do a little lead in here real quick.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the coffee was great and the conversation was great. So, before we scare anybody that we got into a fight or anything, no,
it was
wonderful.
That. Yeah, we loved it. It's good to see each other. Walking towards one another, maybe sitting, or we even coordinate at the same time to see one another, and then we're going to sit down. We had the place to ourselves.
We did.
It was quiet. It was in the afternoon, and we found our little spot in the shade, and we were smiling and laughing and carrying on, and running the gamut of topics that we often do. And then it said, "Hey, I think it's time for me to, catch the bus.
Time to go."
Yeah, and you said, "Well, maybe I can run you home." I said, "Okay, we'll make a plan. Drop me here.
I'll just take it home." Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll run you down. It's a little bit of a ride out of your way, but you're always willing to do that. And I said, "All right, let's roll." And so I'm gonna. At this point, I would have our listeners understand we are now standing up, putting away the various coffee paraphernalia and
coffee
plastic
memorabilia.
And,
right.
Yeah, dropping. We adjust our hats and we head towards the car. In which case, I want to turn the story over to you.
Which is a half block away. And as we're walking to the car, I see a white tag on my windshield, and I thought, "Oh no! Don't tell me I got another ticket." I got that other ticket at the time we went to the movies, and it cost me $250 for parking, unwittingly parking in a handicapped spot. So I thought, "Oh, this can't be a handicapped spot. That was a legal parking place." And as we got closer, you said, "Hey, there's something going on with your car. There's something sticking out there." When we got closer, what's up? Oh my God. So yeah, to make a long story short, somebody hit my car while we were enjoying our coffee. I guess the good news is the policeman was still there waiting for us, waiting for me, and he had a full police report. Then obviously I have to
rectify that, huh?
Rectify that, go through the whole contact the guy, The vehicle is owned by a church, so it's a church van. So I called the guy the next morning, and he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "I had some drunk lady on the van. I was trying to get rid of her." He said, "I should have just stopped in the middle of the road, but I wanted to pull off." And he said, "I just rammed it into your car." So practically tore the bumper off and a bunch of stuff. Anyway, after 3 days of hassling and phone calls and emails and voicemails, and finally the other guys, the church's insurance company finally said, "Yeah, we'll take care of it. Yeah, we'll take care of it." And I said, "Okay, I'll meet your guy at the collision repair place." And they said, "Yeah, and we'll give you a rental car too." So that all happened. That's what happened today. We all got all that out of the way today. Left my car there. This is where the story gets interesting. There was a lot that went on there that I'm just not going to talk about. Okay, I'll just get angry again. But it's all behind me. So the guy that picks me up, she points. The gal points. Cheryl, by the way, she was spectacular. The girl that worked at the collision shop, she was wonderful. And she said, "Yeah, that's your guy there." Well, I look at this guy, and he's this little guy, and he's got a mohawk haircut. All right, and he's got a beaded band around his head. And I got in. I said, "Man, if I had as much hair as you, I might get that same cut." I said, "You're making a statement there." And he said, "Well, I'm Cherokee. I'm a member of the Cherokee tribe." I said, "Huh?" Oh, okay. Okay. And then he started going a little history. He says, that's the largest tribe, and we're in Georgia. We got some people scattered around here, and we're there and we're there. And I said, okay, well, what's your name? He said, well, they call me Grasshopper. I said, okay, Grasshopper. I said, that's your nickname, right? He says, yeah. I said, well, what's your real name? Come on, what's your real true name? He says, my name is Muggy Lee Bear-paw. Is that the greatest name?
I'm saying to myself, this is real life, folks. You just can't make this stuff
This just
up.
happened. This just happened an hour ago. I thought, man, that's the perfect name for that haircut, or that's the perfect haircut for that name. Anyway, so we just had a good time, just chatting away on the way back. He took me back to the rental agency to pick up the car. And it's like, I almost didn't want us to get there, because we were having such a great time. And he's telling me Cherokee stories. And so anyway, if you're out there, Muggy Lee Bear-paw, you are the man, I'll tell you.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? I mean, the spinoff from the sort of the coffee shop thing is just unbelievable.
It started with an innocent cup of coffee.
An innocent cup of coffee.
Ended with a smashed car and Muggy Lee Bear-paw saving the day for me.
Well, I would say to anybody listening that you handled the situation with great composure and dignity, and the policeman, it was just, he happened to wait for us.
Wasn't that great? Yeah, he waited there for us.
I mean, the way this thing played out, and of course, I felt absolutely terrible. And like I told you, I said I was trying to calculate if, the if thing, if we'd have left earlier, if we'd have went this way, if we'd have.
Well, basically, this is all your fault.
Right. That's
okay.
Right. And I did. And I traced it back. If you hadn't done this, if I hadn't done that, if we didn't go there, if we hadn't been together, if we hadn't done all these things throughout the time, I figured way back in 1963. If we hadn't done that, we probably wouldn't have had this happen. But anyhow, life is full of twists and turns, and it's I don't know, the two old bucks managed to run into some interesting stuff. So that's our story, and we're sticking
with it. Yeah. So you never know what's going to happen with a simple cup of coffee. Yeah. Hey, so other than that, the other really good news is I'm going to get to see the Ukrainian refugee family that we talked about several times in the past. Going to see them this weekend, so that's going to be nice. The father is over here now with the rest of with his family, and he's actually been able to secure employment. And so it's going to be a nice get together with everybody. It's going to be terrific.
Well, we'll give me an update when I see her. A lot of interesting stuff going on over there. So, but other than the normal craziness that goes along with trying to get anything done or talk to a real person, we had a heck of a time coordinating our little coffee thing this time.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very difficult.
Yeah, we're texting each other. Well, I can do it. I can do it from 3:15 to 3:20. No, I'm going to be here. How about 4? Okay. So we finally.
I think I did tell you the story of two ladies that I work with many years that we occasionally would go and have breakfast, at a breakfast joint. And we said, well, let's try to set that up. The one lady had just lost her husband, and we thought, well, we'll just sit down and see catch up. Yep. So I said to her, go ahead and see if you can organize that with the other couple. Yeah. And she said she would. So she gets back to me in a couple of days, and she said, you won't believe it. She said, I asked them for a typical Sunday morning about between 10 and 11 at a very convenient midway breakfast restaurant. Can we get together? And the other couple said, between this and grandchildren and got in travel here and that and this and that. and this, and they're throwing all these contingencies in and so forth. She says, maybe July.
Maybe July.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And I said, oh my, how busy can we be? You know,
Life
people
is
just trying
gone.
to get things done or trying to follow up with family matters and stuff. So it's a funny world out there. So,
It is.
other than some of the but I don't know, craziness that we have to deal with the system. I was kind of looking back. I was listening to some of the old some of our old previous podcasts, and I got to admit, I had a couple chuckles over some of the situations. And there's some interesting stories there. Do you think you'd be in the mood for a
little walk down memory lane?
Yeah, a little memory lane, Cass. You know, want to throw a couple.
I think that's a great idea, given the fact that we can only be together for 15 minutes today. Yeah, I think we'll just take some snippets from some past episodes, particularly some of the early episodes, some of the things that we talked about then, as well as maybe we'll touch on a few of the more popular episodes we've had along the way, and see how much time we have, because this week and next week are going to kind of be crazy for us again. I'm out of town all next week. I don't know if I told you that or not. I am. So
doesn't surprise me. Well, I'd say go ahead and put that together. Talk to Dave in the editing department and let him pick some few highlights. We were ahead of the curve on some issues, and
yes, we were. I was just looking back. Like episode 2, you talked about lanternflies. Like, wow, who'd ever heard of a lanternfly then? Now
they heard of them. They heard of them now.
Blanketed the Northeast. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, send it down to Dave in editing, and for our listeners, bear with us on this one, and maybe think about some of the stuff we used to do, but we don't have a lot of time today to be live. So I would
but we're gonna still be alive.
Well, we'll still be alive, and we're grateful for that portion.
Alive.
Yeah. So this is Old Buck Dale saying, Dave, take care of that for us. Send something out there for us.
And this is Old Buck Dave saying, your wish is my command, sir. All right. Back in our very first episode, Dale introduced the world to Loser Lotto, whereby you would spell the word lose lotto on your lotto ticket, and you would have 9 different combinations of numbers that you could choose from. I wanted to play this back today, but unfortunately, I must have erased the MP3 version of our first episode. But I do have this piece from episode 6, where Dale had promised that he was going to end Loser Lotto. Let's see if he actually did, folks.
Loser?
Let's go to Loser Lotto.
Okay, Loser Lotto. I apologize to all the listeners who, never played the lotto, and B, can't quite visualize what I was trying to get at. But it amounted to one day I experimented with filling the little numbers in, and it turned out to look like a letter. And I figured you could spell a little word with that. So lotto was easy to spell with the numbers. However, I apologize for the confusion, and I apologize for all the people who have played the lotto and tried this method, because we haven't gotten any response about any winners. So clearly,
well, the objective
was right
was
on
achieved.
One aspect of it. It is a loser lotto.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've put the technique out there,
right? And so,
and if they haven't figured out by now what the technique is, they're with me.
Let that go. We'll just say good luck to all the lotto players that are playing out there. If I gave you the numbers, it would still look like lotto when you held it up to you. So
I thought you were quitting this thing.
I'm gonna quit it, but I think
milking
someone's
it.
gonna
You're
tell me it's gonna be a success, and then we'll have to change our whole system of this.
Might
thing.
have to do
We'll
that.
have to change the letter and try to spell other letters like M's, which you can't spell with enough dots. So, all right. That's it for Loser Lotto.
That's it for Loser Lotto. So after 6 episodes, Loser Lotto was still alive. Finally, on episode 8, I think we killed it forever. Let's listen and see. Anyway, this is the point where we would go to Loser Lotto.
No.
But
well, this is the last in the series 1.
I thought you said the last one was the last one.
Well, this is official.
You can't let it go. You can't let it go.
Some people, they don't get it. They don't mention it. And as an original idea, it was clearly not destined for any kind of longevity. It was never going to become part of the lingua franca.
Nobody ever understood it.
Nobody ever understood it.
I'm not sure you understood it.
Maybe years later, when they dig through the archives, they'll say, "Wonder what Loser Lotto really meant." Otherwise, so all you lotto players out there, we wish you the best of luck. And if your newfound wealth works for you, that's all the better. So, no more comments about that. Probably we'll discontinue that in season 2.
Hallelujah. Next, we'll go to Season 2, Episode 1, where Dale and I talk about interesting foods that we ate, in my case in Iceland and in his case in Africa.
Let me understand, as you are there on a layover, and somehow you're invited to eat something?
I invited myself. Yeah, we were wanting to sample the local cuisine. The restaurant we wanted to go to actually ended up being closed, so we're walking around, found this other restaurant, and they had a lot of interesting hors d'oeuvres on the menu, and one of them was this shark. Okay, so I thought, I've got to try that. And
go ahead.
Okay, so. Well, let me give you a little bit of background on the shark here. First of all, I had to do the research afterwards.
It was like when it washed up on the beach.
No, it's the Greenland shark. All right, the shark is much like you. It has no kidneys. Okay.
Oh.
The animal does not have kidneys, so its body doesn't filter urine. So the meat is toxic. Okay, it's loaded with ammonia.
Okay.
So if people ate it, you could experience drunkenness, diarrhea, convulsions, and go blind. These are all the things that we're already dealing with.
So this is not the shark you're involved in, right?
Well, this is the shark.
Ooh.
Okay. So somebody figured out, well, boy, we'd really like to eat this shark. It's a lot of meat. Let's bury it. Okay, so what they do, they bury the shark. They bury it underground for 8 to 12 weeks. All right.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the microbes attack the toxins and kind of make them harmless.
Now, stop right there.
I know.
And ask the question.
I know what you're going to say. Who
thought of that?
Who thought of that?
It's like somebody said, "I'm going to get rid of. I caught this fish. I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to bury the darn thing." And someone else
my brother ate it.
Discovered it and said,
he
"I'm
went
going to dig
blind
it up
and then
and
he died." Yeah.
Hey.
I mean, you think about how do they do that? So then you hang it out for 4 more months to age, and then it's edible. All right.
So you say.
So it's on the menu.
So you stand here alive and tell
it's on the menu. So I ordered it. Well, my wife and I each ordered a
portion.
A portion of it. It comes out in a glass jar with a sealed lid. All right. It's one of these lids with a clamp-on lid.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit preserved, so to speak,
well,
or pickled or something.
It's dried. It's been it's been buried and hanging. So it's 9 months. It's been dead 9 months. And you got your little toothpicks. They're just little cubes. Not a lot.
You are a real adventurer. I'm telling you the truth.
And
So this isn't the main course. This is an
this is an appetizer. Yeah, it's an appetizer. Okay. Yeah, we ordered several appetizers. They were all great. But this was. I opened it up and I forked. I mean, first of all, you open it up and it's like, whoa!
It smells.
It smells. Yeah, it's pretty fragrant. And my wife, she tries. I can't eat this stuff. I can't eat it. I'm eating. And it's like. That's interesting. It's it's kind of a squeaky texture.
It's a great deal of faith here that since they've produced this or went to the trouble to get it this far, you're convinced that the Icelandic people or convinced they can eat it. So
it
you're going to
wasn't
try this.
It wasn't terrible. It was kind of like, chomping on an ammonia capsule. A meaty ammonia. And so the waiter comes over, and he says, "Well, what do you think?" I says, "I kind of like it." And he says, "Wow, that's a rare review." And he said, "Oh, by the way," he said, he closes the lid on my container. He said, "Please keep the lid closed." Because he says it's bothering the other diners in the restaurant. Yeah, it was great.
So there's an interesting story in that you never think what people, could sort of catch in their net and figure out some way to cook it. And eat it.
Actually, that came into my head because
I don't blame you for trying.
I was going to ask you what the strangest food you had in Africa was, because that was, in my head, that was the strangest food that I've eaten. But
actually, what was strange to me was it was something called matumbu, and it was just the insides of a cow.
Okay.
Yeah. It was,
well, that's in Scotland. That's like haggis. That's like,
yeah. I think
it's like cow stomach or goat stomach or something like that. The way they were
able to eat that. It was just,
yeah,
that was good. A lot of times foods had a mental picture. If you mentally could visualize it, sometimes you'd think you couldn't eat it, but technically it was quite edible and not a problem.
It's the texture that gets me. The smells, I can deal with all that, but you get that real. I had some real slimy stuff in Asia that's like,
I don't eat it here. I didn't eat it there, and I suppose maybe it shows up in some of the hot dogs we got here. I don't know where all that stuff goes.
I was in Japan once having breakfast. It's like a sushi breakfast, and they're bringing out all this stuff, and it looked like sloppy worms or something.
Yeah, so there was things that
I couldn't. And the guy next to me says, "You're not going to eat that." I said, "Nah, not for breakfast." He says, "Oh, can I have that?" I said, "Sure, go ahead." And so he's Mr. Tough Guy, and he throws it in his mouth. He starts chewing it, and then he like froze. He's like, he spit it out. It's like, oh, that's really bad.
Well, otherwise there wasn't nothing too exotic. There was some I guess every culture has a bit of something they make out of something, and no, I did okay. Yeah, in my visit to Africa.
Perfect.
Food-wise.
Perfect. Okay.
So, anyhow, thank you for the shark story.
Thank you.
You unfortunately, my mind was picturing hammerheads and great whites and stuff like that, and you picked some little obscure job that I don't even know about. But anyhow,
that's my job.
Yeah,
that's my job. And finally, we'll go to season 2, episode 6. This was February of 2021, where I talk a little bit about one of my trips to Bolivia, up in the Andes Mountains, looking for tungsten. So here goes. Talk a little bit about one of my Bolivian experiences, and again, I went down there several times trying to work out.
I'm trying to picture exactly where that's located. I know it's in South America someplace.
South America. It's landlocked. Doesn't have a
between Chile and Colombia or something down there.
It's like inside of Chile. Yeah.
And the mountains. That old mountain?
Oh yeah. The Andes Mountains rip right through it.
Okay.
Yeah, you fly into La Paz, okay? And it's like 10 or 11,000 feet. First thing they do when they land, well, as they come in, they disconnect the oxygen masks that would drop down.
Right.
Because the elevation of the airport is high enough to triggers
the oxygen mask to drop. Oh, yeah. My soul.
So they disable those. They open the door, and it's like, wow, I'm just on my third drink or something.
I'm picturing this plane is coming into these high mountains, and it's so high up. By the time they land, they're screeching to a halt, before they run off the end of the mountain or something.
That's right. I mean, they fly through a notch in the Andes there. It's like, oh, we're going right into the mountains, and they bank across there. Landing is not so tough. Taking off is another thing. They won't take off with a full gas tank.
Right.
So they take off with a partial gas tank, and then they land in Santa Cruz, which is at a much lower elevation, and tank up. Right. At least that's what they did on my flights. If you ever timed how long a plane takes to take off, it's like 25 seconds.
Air is thin up there.
The air's thin there, so it's a good 45, 50 seconds, and you're just rolling and rolling and rolling.
And and everybody's saying, "Are we driving there?"
Yeah. Oh man, it's like, are we ever going to get off the ground? Anyway, but that's not really my story.
I'm really glad that you made it through all those days. We wouldn't be here considering
not as glad
all this
as I
precarious situations you found yourself in.
Yeah. He'd drive us to his mine. It was on the side of Mount Iomani.
Truthfully, Dave, I always felt you had a safe office job. I swear, I just pictured you, little cushy office job with a nice swivel chair someplace, safe and sound. You're out there risking your life.
That would have been no fun at all. That would have been no fun at all. So yeah, we drove in a like a 4x4, like industrial strength thing.
They picked you up there.
This is just a dirt road that's chipped into the side of the mountain range there. It's only 12 miles, I think. The drive is like 12 miles. It takes 4 hours to get there, something like that.
Weaving up and down around.
Oh yeah, you have to drive very slowly, and you're weaving. And some places the road's washed out. The water would be gushing down, and they'd say, "Okay," there'd be like 4 or 5 of us in the thing. He says, "Everybody get out," but the driver. I'm like, why?
To be safe crossing this little passageway so the truck will roll off the mountain.
So if the water washes him down, only the driver will die with the vehicle. You guys will be okay. And then, of course, you have to slosh across this raging water that's coming down the mountainside. So it was really a different world, really different world. And I particularly remember this one occasion where I went with my engineering manager, and we were going to stay overnight a couple nights at the mine, where we were trying to set up a sampling technique. Anyway, it's not important what we were trying to do. We were trying to get tungsten. I'm
just picturing a coal mine. That's all I can visualize. Yeah. So it's a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Hole in the
ground.
It's
a cinder block.
Open pit mine, or is it a hole?
No. This is hard rock mining. This is drilled into the side of the mountain. This is all.
Yeah. So it is a tunnel of sorts.
Yeah. These are tunnels or adits that are chipped in, that are broken in. Actually dynamite. They're dynamited into the mountain at various depths, elevations. We hiked up to about 13.5, something like that. Boy, talk about a fish out of water. You're gasping for breath.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I wanted to mention was, so we had this overnight thing planned. Again, it was 1940s cinder block building, no heat, just a couple electric light bulbs dangling from wires in a couple of the rooms there. Now, on the way, stopped at a little village, and they said that the rebels are active in the area right now. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
The rebels are active right now.
I've actually been in that rebel active right now. So what is that? How does that affect me?
And the Bolivian guys, rebels, don't worry about the rebels. Okay. So we took food up. We had a nice dinner. A couple of the Amaran engineers who stayed at the mine and played flamenco guitar for us. It was great. Mm-hmm. And then it was time to go to bed. Dawn and I each had our own little bedroom with one light bulb dangling from a cord in the middle of the room, which was, the light bulb was on all the time.
Interior plumbing, I'm sure, right?
Well, maybe. There was a pit that was called the bathroom. That you used if you needed to go to the bathroom. There wasn't it was an actual special room.
Primitive.
Now the electricity came from he had a little hydro power unit. The snow melt coming down the side of the mountain would drive a generator, and that's what provided enough electricity to light up a few rooms and do some stuff like that. So it's time to go to bed. Have about 16 blankets. Okay, it's cold. You're at
13,000 feet.
Yeah, we're up there. So it's about 3 or 4 in the morning, and you know what happens to old guys about that time.
I know what happened to old guys now about that time. You should have been a relatively young guy when you were doing it.
Well, I was younger, but we had a lot of wine that night, I guess.
Oh boy!
So I woke up. I had to go to the bathroom, and as I got up, the light in my room, which was still on, the overhead light, it started flickering, and then it went out. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as it went out, I heard, "Oh!" this loud groan, scream, It was Don, the other guy.
Oh.
And here I am. It's total darkness in the middle of nowhere, and I'm thinking, the rebels are here. They just gutted Dawn.
This is the worst case scenario, right?
And I'm
there.
next.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. I really thought about that for a few seconds. And I thought, well,
you know what ran through my mind? I'm thinking, if in pitch black, and you don't know your way around, you're now going to the bathroom.
Yes.
So
no
that
idea.
Could be a hazardous experience.
Yeah. So then I hear Dawn swearing, like, okay, he's not dead. Well, again, what had happened is he had to go to the bathroom like a minute ahead of me. And as he was going there, as the lights went out, he didn't know where he was, so he walked, he smacked his foot right in, his toes right into the wall, and then he hit his head on the wall. So that was what the moaning and groaning was. But it was quite an experience. We survived the night, and
that was the last night you were staying there. Obviously,
we said we're not staying any more nights.
Right.
Yeah, this is enough nights. Yeah, so we drove back. But anyway, it was quite an experience in the middle of the Andes Mountains.
You think that's still like that down there? You think it's still pretty much that primitive?
Well, up in the mountains like that, yeah. I mean, a lot of people, the natives live, the indigenous, the Amarans are the indigenous people from that area.
Oh,
here's another good one. So this is a different trip to the mine. We're coming around a bend, and there's a truck broken down coming in the other direction. Now you can't drive past. It's not wide enough in this particular area. Some places vehicles can pass each other, and they all know where you can do that.
But not where he was broken down.
Not where he was broken down. The guy, Carlos, the mine owner, says, "Oh," he says, "I sold that guy that truck." It's like, okay. So
how'd you get out of that one? You have to back up?
Well, here's what we did. Then there was other vehicles coming and stacking up in both directions, trucks. And so we all get out of our vehicles, and somebody has a big bull rope. Somebody appears with a bull rope, big hemp rope, like 2 inches or so in diameter. We tie it to the axle, and we all get hold of this. It's like a tug of war, all right? And we pulled this thing, pulled it against the side of the mountain. Okay, so
the broken down vehicle.
So there would be just enough room for other vehicles to get through. So as after we did this, we're standing around, and there's 2 or 3 other guys. They're the little guys. They're like a foot shorter than I am, and they're talking to each other. And the guy says something to me. And here's the ugly American, the dumb American. I say, "No habla español." And the guy, it was honest. The guy looked at me. He looked at his buddy. They all started grinning. They're elbowing each other in the ribs. "No habla español. No habla español." He wasn't speaking Spanish. He was speaking his own language. So
you kind of generalized.
And I kind of figured that out.
Anybody in South America or something would be.
Yeah, I figured that out, and we really had a good chuckle over it.
Was this a?
So there you have it, folks. A couple blasts from the past. I hope you enjoyed them. Give us a buzz. Send us an email or leave us a voice message. Let us know either way. Look forward to doing more of this in the future. Until then, this is Old Buck Dave, and in absentia, Old Buck Dale saying, take care, folks. Adios. Talk next time.